welcome to the show. We are here today on BeamNG Drive, going to be, well, driving some more vehicles till destruction. This time, though, on a rather interesting map. This is the Streets of Destruction, made by the same person that made the, I've forgotten the name of it, Endurance Island, there we go, that I drove a little while ago. This has just come out, and is very, very interesting. Very interesting indeed. We're going to just reset everything. Not that the distance is a perfect measure, of course, of because the distance on here measures sort of wheel distance, but you often get wheels spinning around and causing chaos. So that's on the nose, and over we go. So for this, I mean, if you haven't seen one of these before, I shall explain it briefly. The cars are driven around this map. I have to try and survive for as long as possible. Now, I've got to drive them relatively hard. That doesn't mean I have to be flat out everywhere, but they do have to be driven quickly. I can't just cruise around, and some of these jumps I do actually want to be going quickly over so I can land nicely. But yeah, the vehicles got to be pushed hard, and they will go until they stop for whatever reason. Now, the real challenge for this in terms of building a map that I think this map does a very good job of is the map needs to be tough enough to kill strong vehicles, things like hoppers and roamers and D-series, while also not being so destructive that a car like this Covert, for example, can't survive a single lap. And from, as I said, a brief bit of testing I did around here, this map actually has a pretty good balance between, you know, destruction obstacles, slowly killing cars, while something like this can survive for a bit. Now, the radiator's gone, not expecting the radiators to survive particularly long in this car. If it dies from overheating, that's a good run for a Covert. That was a horrible landing, and I'm slightly concerned about how wobbly that front left wheel is looking. Oh, yeah, that front left wheel is a problem right now. Front left wheel is oh god, is all manners of wobbly. The other rules will be the same as we have seen before. I mean, we have a crawler rule that I don't think is ever really going to come into effect around this. This is another quite slow circuit, but if a vehicle is, you know, able to move but not able to exceed kind of sort of 20 miles an hour, it'll be counted out. And if I have to grab reverse to get around corners, that'll be counted as a steering failure. I can grab reverse for other reasons. I mean, if you overshoot a corner and have to... Oh, God, that's a bump there. Didn't know about that. If you overshoot a corner, you miss the braking point and have to grab reverse. That's fine. But if the vehicle's physically unable to make corners, then yeah, that is counted out with steering damage. Ooh, this is a clonky bit. And into the water we go. Now, there are various water sections here which could well come in handy. It has been a radiator failure here rather than a oil pan. There we go. That's the one. So, yeah, we can get the temperature down a little bit by going through the water. The rear wheel is at a funny angle. Oh, crap, that's bad for the front left. Okay. Front left's fine. Well, I say that. So my real concern, of course, front-wheel drive car. Front-wheel drive car, we lose that front left wheel, that drive shaft goes, it'll not work as a one-wheel drive. That is all manners of wobbly going on there. I'm not amazed that is still working. This jump we can get away with landing nicely, or essentially just landing in the puddle. Or we're kind of landing just on the downward slope into the water section. Temperature is... That wheel is not surviving to have the car overheat. I don't think I've ever seen a front-wheel drive with such a wobbly wheel carry on driving. Oh, God. I've got handling issues. Oh. So not only have I got a front wheel that's wobbly, I've got... well, we've smashed one of the pillars in, but that doesn't really cause me much grief. We've got a lot of positive camber on the rear wheels that is making handling horrible, although honestly that might have saved the car because I completely lost control of it heading up towards that jump, which means I was going a bit slower. And with it having handling issues, that does mean I cannot go as quick around the course. I can't hit these jumps anywhere near as hard as I was when the car was in good condition because I just don't have the control for it. These aren't too... At this current speed, at this current level of damage, these jumps aren't too bad, but that front wheel surely cannot cling on to life doing that. At some point, the half shaft is going. It may well be on this jump. Nope, that landed on the other side. That's good for the Covert. Yeah, it's not so good for my steering, that is now considerably worse, but at the moment, if I'm going to land a jump wonky, don't land on the front left like that, Christ. Yeah, we want to land on... I mean, ideally, we want to either land straight on the nose or flat. In fact, preferably we would land with the back first, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. That's a crunch over there. Okay, water, you can cool us down a bit. I mean, it's quite deep water here. Sometimes cars, the water seems to be varying effectiveness depending on the vehicle and like how, I guess maybe ride height or... It's very difficult to know. Some cars get cooled going through the water, some cars do not. We are still soldiering on here with the cover. It's actually very impressive. Okay, land on that side. Oh, well, it landed on the side I wanted it to, but the shock through the chassis, if you like, conked out the half shaft, conked out the drive. That's not a massive surprise. Honestly, the fact that that kept going for as long as it did with the wheel flapping around like that is very, very impressive. Unsurprisingly, the Covet becomes one-wheel drive, well, or not one-wheel drive, and that would be the death of it. It's not the most unusual death for a Covet, but it was actually quite an impressive run for the vehicle around the course. We have a very different vehicle up next. This is a Blue Buck. It's a relatively low-spec manual, I believe. Did I select a manual? I did. Fantastic. Two-door Blue Buck. Now, the concern I'm going to go with, I expect the drive shaft to be the point of failure in this car. Now, there could be all manners of different things, though, around here. This does seem like a bit of a drive shaft killing circuit. Oh, well, the oil pan has gone immediately in this one. See, the Covet had no issue with the oil pan. That does actually surprise me. Normally, I would have thought the older cars would have been better for keeping that alive. I guess on the big V8s, the oil pan is kind of a bit of an easy target. Don't know how long this one is going to survive with that. I mean, so I doubt this is beating the Covet at this point. Oh, it's definitely not beating the Covet doing that. Oh, it's actually also got some serious steering problems through there. Yeah, that's taken more damage on that front. Even if we ignore the oil pan damage, I've got real concerns about the steering. I guess this may be a little faster. I think the difference with this and the Covet is this might accelerate a little better. It might get a bit better traction, especially with the Covet taking damage early on, struggling to put its power down. So this may be hitting the jumps a little faster. It's always the downside of the faster, more powerful vehicles do sometimes struggle because, well, they are simply capable of more around this course, and they're very easy to get them into a lot of trouble. We're going to hit this next jump. Ooh, big clonk on the front corner. So this time it's the front right we've got to be wary of. The water might help cool the engine and stop it from seizing a little bit, but it's not going to be a permanent solution. If this dies, if this dies before oil-related death, that would be impressive amount of destruction. Although the front right really doesn't look very healthy. Not only is it at a funny angle, pretty sure either the shock or the spray or something's gone in there. That's yeah. Definitely not so good. It's definitely not... See, Wobblematic suspension, this old school suspension, on some destruction circuits has actually been quite helpful. It's kept cars alive, like the Moonhawk and so on, quite well. Burnside, though. I'm not sure this circuit is great for it. And possibly over the years with Beam having had various changes to the physics, etc. Yeah, maybe there have been changes that makes the Wobblematic just not so good. Because this is definitely crushed a lot more. I mean, I think it's damaged. I don't think it's going to fail. The temperature is really getting hot. The water has not done anywhere near enough. I mean, the radiator is gone as well in this. I mean, the coolant's gone, the oil's gone. Uh-oh, crap. Oh, it's lost the front wheel. We are now a three-wheel car. Now, we should still be able to drive. I wonder if I can... Oh, no, we are beached on the... We actually beached on our wheel. Can I just get you to cool down? We can get you to cool down a little bit. Okay, take a breather, car. Don't flood the engine, but yeah, geez, have a breath of water. If I'm going to lose a wheel, and I can happen to just paddle around in the water for a second, that's a very fortuitous moment for which a wheel to come off. Any other point, and that's a problem. Now, the issue I do have, outside of the fact that my engine is on its last legs, is with that wheel gone, the front of my car is now going to be hitting the floor everywhere, and chances of it losing a drive shaft are even greater, even if we ignore the extensive amount of damage done to the engine from overheating. We are... oh, God, yeah, we are going to struggle to clear this. I'm struggling to actually put the power down. I'm going to guess, potentially, that... oh, come on, car. There we go. We are going to beach it now. I'm allowed to pull cars out if they get stuck like this. Oh, that's not an important bit. Yeah, so if the car gets sort of a little bit beached, we're allowed to pull it out. Otherwise, things like supercars can never really realistically stand a chance around here. The vehicle is still good to go. It's still drivable. I mean, if it gets much worse, we could start having just real problems of simply driving. Not that I think the issue is going to be suspension related compared to engine related. I think the engine's gone. Yeah, the engine's died. I'm gonna guess it's oil starvation that seized it. Temperature, it wasn't overheated completely. We managed to cool it. Yeah, okay, the oil pan dying on the very first jump was an issue. If I'm honest, it probably wasn't very long for this world anyway. It wasn't the drive shaft, though. It wasn't the drive shaft. I suspect the steering may well have gone. But, yeah. The Blue Buck did not survive amazingly well around this course, but it was a spectacular death. So, having gone from front-wheel drive to rear-wheel drive, we have now got an all-wheel drive vehicle. This is a base spec hopper. It is all-wheel drive. It's got the i6, I believe, in this one. We're going to see how well it can survive around here. Of course, in theory, this should be better than the other vehicles. It is designed with a bit of off-roading in mind. Now, a bit of off-roading is one thing. This is, of course, a lot more extreme than the hopper would ever be intended for. However, you know, it's got suspension designed to deal with bumps, whereas a basic Covert and a car from the 60s, it doesn't quite. So, yeah, this should, in theory, survive a little bit better. Now, this jump here, that's perfect. That's what we want. Through the air there. I mean, there's going to be, of course, some learning of a new course. There's always the way where you'll figure out what speed you need and what angle you need for the various jumps. Ooh, careful. That section's very nasty. This jump, I'm really not sure what the best way over it is. It's quite a big... It's not... You don't go very fast there, and the ramp's not massive, but with the way the road falls away on the landing, it's actually quite a big impact for that. The hopper is looking pretty good so far around here. Oh, almost tipped over, but that's fine. Now, this jump, this is another one actually. It's, whoa, it doesn't look, that one there does not look like a particularly big jump. I think in some ways that's one of the scarier ones. There's not really a good landing. I mean, it's crushed the roof up, but damage to the roof of the vehicle is absolutely fine. It probably does some, sort of structural rigidity damage with the way, you know, Beam is very, very good when it comes to vehicle damage. So yeah, if you weaken the roof, it will probably, you know, weaken the vehicle overall and everything. But damage going through the roof is not damage going into the steering, radiator, engine, driveline. The important bits for keeping it running immediately, if you like. Oh, that crash, for example, that tumble has done more damage to it. It's steering that's the real concern with this. Not only steering, is this front suspension already broken? It's a little bit like the Coverts went in the... were kind of... it's pulling. It's not quite completely collapsed at the front corner. Oh, careful. Eee. That's a big hit on the rear. It's pulling, which is an issue. It's still very steerable, but the pull... oh, God. The pull on it might send us towards the... towards the ocean. Don't. Okay, but the pull on steering is getting considerably worse now. There's only so much I can do. We've got to try and keep it going and keep it getting around here. That has conked out the radiator. I mean, there is only so much I can really do. It pulls very, very severely to the right, which means it just wants to launch itself randomly off every jump. Radiator gone isn't my biggest concern. I mean, it's a concern, right? The radiator, it will overheat, the engine will die eventually. I think these engines are quite strong. The oil going kills it quicker. yeah, at the end of the day, can't really do much about the leaky radio. God, again, steering, pulling it horrifically. I don't think it's making to the point where it overheats, because I think the steering issues are going to be too great, because it's just so difficult to line it up over a jump. It just wants to violently pull itself off every ramp, so it's always twisting on sort of the takeoffs of jumps. Now I have got it in all-wheel drive mode. We should be able to climb up this hill. Okay, and climb. There we go. It does. It makes it. I say no problem at all. It wasn't the easiest of climbs, but there we go. We can bounce it around over there. I'm not quite sure. The synchronizer damage is relatively new. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing wrong. It might be if you've not got like sequential boxes or something, if I'm on throttle and changing gear. I don't drive with the clutch on this game, so I'm going to guess that might be what I'm doing, or if I'm going from like neutral to first or reverse to first or something like that. I'm not 100% sure on that one. It's not the greatest concern in terms of damage when my vehicle pulls ridiculously to the right. You know, I have much bigger concerns. It just didn't stop. That just it has a mind of its own, this vehicle. Okay, we are front-wheel drive now. I don't know whether we actually, with the front as smashed up as it is, can we still get some movement going? We can. It does not get cooled. So this is one that just doesn't want to get cooled going through the water, unlike the Moonhawk. Not Moonhawk, Bluebuck, that's the one. That was getting cooled through the water. It would be helpful if this would get cooled going through the water. Because this is coolant related, not oil pan related. Oh, God. God, this steering makes this very, very horrible to try. This is one of the Achilles heels with the hopper. While it is, you know, pretty good for this sort of stuff, if the steering gets broken, which is one of the weaker parts of the car, once it doesn't get broken, it gets bent, and then you are just stuck fighting. I mean, not only is it bent, we've lost all. I think both sides have lost any sort of shock and spray. I think it's all gone. I think it's all completely destroyed. This is going to flip. Nope, it's going to just hit on the front right. Does it still turn? It amazingly is still turning. Piston rings are damaged. Well, they're on the list of busted things with this. I think we are going to lose a wheel, and then drive's going to go as well at some point if we don't overheat before then. It's which one happens first. The engine not quite as resilient to the overheating as I was perhaps expecting it. Maybe the V8 a bit better than the i6 for that, because we are now taking. I mean, I think it said head gasket damage. Conrod, yeah, we're not gonna make it to the end of this lap, I don't think, from engine-related shenanigans. Whether we make it there from steering-related shenanigans, yeah, it doesn't matter. The engine has gone kaput. Well, I mean, again, this is another one. It died from overheating. That is me not touching the steering wheel. That's the wheels at rest. That is how much steering I got to the left. It's not much. That was not, again, this is another one. It is not long for this world, regardless. But it was the overheated that killed it. Jeez, that is some bananaed up, messed up chassis for the hopper. Yep, that is a write-off right there. For the final vehicle today, I've got an SBR4. I've gone for the mid-spec electric one, so this is an all-wheel drive one. I think the basic one is two-wheel drive. But yeah, we've got an all-wheel drive electric SBR4. Now, electric, good. Can't overheat. Can't have oil issues in Beam. Bad things about it are, well, it's a supercar. And supercar does not really have a huge amount of ground clearance. Wheels coming off. I mean, there's no... there's no drive shaft that can come off in the same way. I believe the motors in the... this is a two-motor version, so I believe one motor powers the front and one motor powers the rear. Now, you can knock the motors out, I think, but it's difficult. They're more difficult to take those out than a drive shaft, essentially. However, the things that can be taken out are, well, the actual wheels themselves. I would be worried about this car. Oh, God, yeah, the wheels themselves, front wheel's gone. Front left is gone, but it's not gone properly. This is one of the issues you get with these vehicles, is if that wheel is still getting power, and it's flapping about in the breeze while still being driven. So if it's at an angle fighting the way I want to go, that's a problem. At this point, I'd rather that wheel fall off. Amazingly, the other wheel has still got enough... no, don't jinx it. Don't jinx it now. The other wheel has almost got enough steering. I'm going to go with almost got enough steering to counter that. God, that's not a great start for this. It's fine. That's a bit too quick. Now, we are going to be a little bit cheeky there. Technically didn't reverse. Oh, God. No, we've got problems. We have very big problems. If we can't pull this back on the course, it will be a steering failure. It kind of works sometimes and then kind of doesn't. It really depends on what flappy angle that wheel is at, and that is going to be an elimination with a whole bunch of... shall we try again? So, for the final vehicle, today we've got an electric car. This is the SBR4, this is the mid-spec one, so it's all-wheel drive. So it's dual motor one. Plus points to the electric cars, can't overheat. In Beam, certainly. You can't overheat. You don't have oil to come out of them as such, so that's good. Downside of the electric cars are, well, heavy, which is not normally great for damage. I mean, this one here is, of course, a supercar, sports car. It's very low to the ground. Suspension, not built for bumps. Wheels coming off are a concern. Oh, God. The other thing is, as well, it's so fast. This is so much faster than anything I've driven before. Some of these jumps you may actually go too quick over and launch it into more hazards, or I can just spin the damn car through here. Yeah, well, the vehicles have got to be driven quickly and so on. That doesn't mean they have to be full throttle everywhere. Oh, please come back down to earth. Thank you, car. God. And yeah, you don't want to hit a jump and launch it so far it just smashes into something in the landing zone. So, yeah, this is a very quick car. The suspension is the real concern. Can't really... lose... I mean, you can lose a motor. This could end up being two-wheel drive. They're difficult. They're normally pretty strong. You can't lose the drive shafts like we see from a lot of the sort of regular cars, so to speak. My main concern with this would be losing a wheel and losing steering. The other thing that could happen, has happened with electric SBR4s in the past, is have the chassis so buckled that the car stops functioning. Have it to the point where it beaches itself permanently, basically, which it can happen. I think the wheels are going to fall off before then, quite literally, but I don't know. You never really... that's a roll. Over and land. Yeah, that's fine. All is good. All is fine. We will launch our car forward. Through the water we head. It's going to... It drags itself out the other side, no problem. It's going to complete a lap. I mean, it's probably in the best condition of anything that's completed a lap. I do suspect, as is often the way with cars like this will be a one-hit KO. It will be a case of one big clonk is going to do irreparable damage. That clonk there on the landing has severely broken the rear wheel. Now, if that was the front, I would be more concerned. The rear I can get away with. You know, the front needs to do the steering. The rear, I mean, it's powering it, but having that rear wheel sort of pushed up, I think the suspension's kind of been wedged in and broken. It makes the handling awkward, but it's not undrivable. It's not car killing just yet. So that's fine. Okay. We've lost a tire. Okay, damn it. We've lost the tire on the side that didn't have the wreck suspension. Well, I mean, it's quite wrecked, but... now, that's an again, it's an inconvenience. It does give us some traction-related issues, which... so the problem we get with that, of course, is we're not actually racing, you know, compete, get fastest lap time and all that, but what it makes is things like this happen. You spin the car, the vehicle's difficult to line up on jumps and bumps, so it's more likely to have a big wreck on a ramp, on a jump, because it might spin the wheels at an inopportune moment. You can't get the car lined up how you want it to. You twist off of the, you know, the takeoff zones and all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, a punctured tyre is not doing much to stop the car directly in this but it can lead to further problems. I mean, the front wheels are definitely not at the angle they were supposed to be at. The front right a little bit worse than the front left. That jump's not too bad. The water can kind of cushion the blow, and the vehicle is still flying fairly level. Oop, that at least didn't hit too hard on the front left. Yeah, front left slightly worse than front right, but actually not doing too badly. Again, considering SBR4 here, it's not doing too badly. Oh, that's... I don't know why that's done that, but it has. One rollover, not the end of the world. Debris, so I'm allowed to clear debris if it gets stuck in the vehicle. I'm not pulling that out. Oh, okay, now we're rear-wheel drive. Front motor has gone. As you say, they are normally quite difficult to kill, but... that one has gone. Now the issue with the rear suspension and the rear tyre become a little bit more prevalent because now all the front is doing is steering. But yeah, the reason I'm not pulling that bit of debris out is unless that completely locks up the wheel, me pulling that out is going to do more damage potentially. I hope it falls out naturally. I can pull it out if it completely locks up the wheel. Oh, now we've lost the front left. Yep, I mean that is slightly from the bumper, but if I'd grabbed it out, it was probably going to tear the wheel apart anyway, so just kind of got to live with it for the moment. When we still got steering, it was a little bit of an oversteer. Oversteer moment. We've lost some debris from the back of the car. The boot and bumper have come off. That's fine. We just need to get the front bumper out of our front wheel. The front tyres going isn't the end of the world, actually. It will restrict us, it will hinder our handling, but it didn't handle well to begin with. It's all manners are broken now anyway, so that's fine. Okay, come on now. I think if anything, with the level of damage this thing has got going on, that might have just. I just saw on the landing the way that front right. I don't think that front right is connected anymore to. It's not. The front right is disconnected. The tie rod's gone, I'm going to guess, or something like that. Now, I'm going to... put the controller down for a second. Now I'm going to try and rescue. This may do more damage, but I feel like that is definitely... If we're going to be able to get around any sort of cornering, we are probably going to have to get rid of that. Now, the question becomes, can we survive with one wheel? If that's locked straight, I can maybe do it. No, that's going to be the problem. The problem is it's still there, and it has a mind of its own. I think we're going to fail. I simply cannot steer. And there we go. So, yeah, nothing I can do about that one. That wheel, the tie rod god, I saw it go as well as it landed. You just saw the wheel suddenly go sort of loose, if you like. Saw that one die on landing. Not the biggest surprise. Surprised it killed a motor before it killed the steering. That's quite impressive. But yeah, the SBR4, that was always likely to be the car's weakness, if you like, was having the steering. There's so much weight, so much speed going on. But there we go. Yeah, really, really interesting course, this one. I mean, vehicles can still, of course, die from overheating and oil pan-related failures, but I think this course itself, not quite so much around here. Yeah, really interesting. I mean, by the end of a run, all the vehicles have ended up in weird, crazy, wacky shapes, which is kind of what you want from a driven till destruction circuit. So yeah, may well be seeing some more of this one going forward, as I like the balance of destruction and so on. That though is going to be it from me. Thank you all very much for watching, and until next time, a goodbye.